everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today, since I am extremely tired and it has been a bit of a week, I thought I would do a nice cozy tag video, which I have not done for a while, mainly because much as I want to curl up and take naps and watch lots of trashy television, I do have a lot of books that I should technically be currently reading. So I thought I would do the currently reading tag. I originally saw this on Marissa of Blatantly Bookish's channel. She did this tag many years ago now. I don't know who the original creator was, but I will at least tag her video in the description box down below. The first question asks, how many books do you usually read at once? I used to be a firmly one book at a time person when I first started BookTube at least, and in the few years leading up to that. However, when I was younger, I would read multiple books at once, and I've gotten back to reading multiple books at once. As of right now, I have my buddy read of Sister Novelists on the go as a physical book. I'm also supposed to be reading The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton, also as a physical book, but then I also have several digital arcs that I should be reading as an ebook. I just finished an ebook from the library this morning, and I also typically have an audiobook on the go. So that means technically I am reading 4 books at once at the moment. I would say usually it's 3, unless I'm in a readathon or a buddy read or some other sort of extenuating circumstance. Which leads into the question of, if you're reading more than one at once, how do you decide when to switch over to another book? It's partly based on mood, partly based on deadlines, and partly based on circumstances. So, for example, I primarily listen to my audiobooks at work. I tend to listen to them on my lunch breaks, and sometimes if I stay late in the afternoons as well, trying to get some quick things done. But I will sometimes also listen to my audiobook at home as I'm knitting or doing a puzzle or doing tons and tons of laundry, if that audiobook is really gripping me. There is also the deadlines factor to consider, such as, is this book due back to the library soon? Is this arc going to expire soon? Do I need to read this before the end of the month or by a certain point to keep up with a buddy read or a readathon? And then those books tend to take priority for the time being. Apart from that, it is purely down to mood and where I am. If I'm doing a lot of traveling, I might read more digitally. If I'm staying around the house for days at a time, I might go through 3 or 4 physical books. Do you ever switch bookmarks partway through the book? I would have to say no, and I will take that even further. I rarely use the many bookmarks that I actually have. I have done a whole video about all of the lovely bookmarks that I have. I will try to link that down below. If not, it is definitely searchable on my channel. But despite having all of those beautiful bookmarks, I tend to use 1 or 2. And it is consistently the same 1 or 2. So even if I do add a 3rd one in, I will never change halfway through the book, except if, as Marissa also said, I was using a temporary bookmark, like a train ticket or a receipt. Where do you keep the book that you're currently reading? If they are physical books, they tend to stay on my nightstand overnight, and then as soon as I am awake and dressed and ready to go in the morning, they tend to go downstairs onto the coffee table, because that is also where I spend most of my time. So the more I see them, the more likely I am to pick them up. Any digital books are, of course, on my iPad or my phone. What time of day do you spend most time reading? I honestly don't know if there's one particular time of day. During the work week, I would say definitely on my lunch break, which is usually between 11:30 and 12:30, depending. That is, I get 30 minutes, and that could fall anywhere between 11:30 and 12:30. Let's not go crazy thinking I have a full hour. But then again, if I have the day to myself I could read any time of day. I just finished an ebook this morning, as I said, because I wanted to get that done sooner rather than later before my borrow expired. If I'm really enjoying a book, I could spend a few hours over the afternoon reading it. I've been known to read for several hours in the evening. Honestly, anytime I have the time, I can spend reading. How long do you usually read for in one go? Again, this depends on how much time I have, but I can read for any length of time. I can finish a book in a day if I have the full day with nothing else to do. Or sometimes I might only have 30 minutes to listen to something. It depends. Do you read hardcovers with the dust jacket on or off? I am firmly a read them with the dust jackets off person. I don't like how they slide around. I feel like they're going to get damaged. So I tend to read them with the covers off, except if it's a library book and I physically cannot take them off. What position do you usually use to read? Again, I go through several. Usually it's sitting on the couch, either cross-legged or with my feet stretched out long ways or with my knees tucked up, really anywhere. Although I cannot read in bed. I have tried many times and I just cannot get myself to read in bed, no matter how much I want to. Do you take your book with you anywhere you go? Yes and no. Pre-pandemic, I would have said yes wholeheartedly. I always carried a book with me. These days, I don't tend to take my physical books with me. I tend to leave them home. However, I do usually have an audiobook with me on my phone. And if I know I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, I will have a digital book on my phone as well. So I guess the answer is still yes. It just looks a little bit different. How often do you update the progress of your reading on Goodreads? Every now and then. It's really whenever I think of it and whenever it feels appropriate. Like right now with my audiobook, I am 4% of the way in. It feels silly to update that. I don't tend to update until I know I am at least 8 or 9% into a book, and thereafter if I've made significant progress. And finally, who would you like to tag? Honestly, at this point, if you would like to do this tag, you are welcome to. You have. And pass people back to this video and to Marissa's and to anyone else's who also did this video way back when. What are your opinions on these questions? Do you have strong opinions on any of these? Or are you a much more easygoing reader? I always love hearing from you, and until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye everyone.